So just like we have talked about, how can we make the scheduling, the planning, the platforms, and the supplies for all of this simpler and more accessible? Think about that when you're making your content for your audience too, of even those little steps. Sometimes the littlest steps are the things that it's the hardest to find a tutorial on, and therefore might be your most valuable piece of content. It's the thing you do on autopilot that if someone is new, they have no clue how to do it, and they may not even know how to search for it. So there's a little bit about the stuff that I use, but also the thought process behind when I'm making these time lapses, how I'm going to utilize it later with a voiceover.
Hello, friends, and welcome to the newest episode of Creatives on Camera. If you're an entrepreneur teaching, designing patterns, or running a shop and feeling like video is just too complicated or time-consuming, you're in the right place. This podcast is your guide to creating video content that connects authentically with your audience, builds your business, and expands your reach without the stress of a huge production or expensive equipment. We make it simple, effective, doable. I'm Lyric Montgomery Kennard, an artist, educator, and host of the show. Join me as we explore practical tips and strategies to help you confidently share your creativity online. Let's get started. Welcome back to Creatives on Camera, the podcast for entrepreneurial designers, educators, and shops in the creative arts and crafts industry. We're using video to authentically connect with the makers we serve. I'm your host, Lyric Montgomery Kennard. This is part 2 of our conversation with Sarah Rivero-Kangen, Corey Pearson, and Holly-Ann Knight, 3 creative entrepreneurs who've each found smart, authentic ways to use video to connect with their audience and grow their businesses. In this episode, we go deeper into the how we plan, batch, and edit videos, how we repurpose content across platforms, and how we've learned to show up with consistency and confidence, even on the crazy hard days. We also talk about dealing with vulnerability, perfectionism, and what it really looks like to keep showing up as a solo business owner. If you're trying to make video a regular part of your teaching or marketing, this episode is packed with practical advice and honest encouragement. Let's jump back in. Here we are back with the Dream Team. We've decided to get kind of down in the weeds. We talk about the overall strategy. We talk about the ideas behind why we do this. But sometimes it's really hard to get into the how. How do you actually do ManyChat? How do you actually make a video? How do you actually not spend 100 hours a week trying to be on social media when you actually have to run your business? So let's get back into this. We're back with Holly-Ann Knight, Sarah Kangen. Say your name for me, Sarah.
It's Sarah Rivero-Kangen. It's much easier than it looks.
Sarah Rivero-Kangen. Close. Thank you. Thank you for saying it. And Corey Pearson, who all have amazing businesses. They all have amazing presences on different social media platforms. And we would love to be able to share with you some of the things we can help you with so that you can use platforms to really make that authentic connection with your customers and bring them into your ecosystem, bring them right into your living room, hanging out on the couch, eating dinner together, watching a movie, being in real connection where they support you as a business and you support them in their creativity, in their quest for success, whatever they have. I'm going to start off with a little bit of information that we always teach at the Academy for Virtual Teaching, where we work more on the video tech and the software tech side of things. And we talked in the earlier episode about you have to show up, you have to be consistent, you have to be there. But if you don't have a setup that allows you to do that seamlessly and efficiently, then it's a whole production, right? So we all have an amazing camera in our pockets. These lenses on our phones mine is far better than the DSLR that I got 10 years ago that was also very expensive, right? But it's right there all the time. So if you have a setup where you're working most of the time, whatever you're doing, you can just pop in your phone and film, then you build a library of content. Don't go out of your way to do things that you're not already doing. Holly Ann talked last time about being able to film what you're doing as though somebody is looking through your eyes. I call that maker's eye view. So if you have a piece of equipment to hold your camera that you can pop in and arrange at an angle, extend it up, extend it out, in any of those directions, then it makes it so easy. And the equipment also has to not be in your way, right? I am the world's largest, I don't know where my body ends and the world begins. So I knock things over and, I used to use the big softbox lights, and I can't tell you how many, this is before our nice little LED lights, how many of the big $70 fluorescent bulbs I broke by knocking over the whole stand. But having an efficient setup will really, really make it so much easier for you to build this library of content and to make it easy on yourself to put yourself out there on social media. And at the Academy, we have all kinds of equipment recommendations and reviews. So come look there. Let's get into let's get into the how to do this. Let's start with you, Holly Ann. You were talking about getting that interaction going on Instagram through a really, really cool AI tool. Tell us about it.
Yes, ManyChat is my Instagram bestie. So it's a very low cost platform. I think we paid. We said we're not putting prices on. Go look up what the current rate is. It's not very much. I was pleasantly surprised by the cost of it. And essentially what you do is you make your account, and they have an app too, which is great. And they recently updated the app that makes it super, super easy to use. And you click make new automation, and then you select for because you've connected your Instagram account. And so you select what piece of content you want to connect this little bot to. And I usually do this preemptively. So I will say next post or reel. And that means the next thing that hits my feed is going to have this little automation attached to it. And then I have 3 quick steps. I need to tell it what keyword I want people to comment. And after I select that, I can put in how I want to respond in the actual comments so that they get not only a DM, but they get a comment there on the feed from me. So they immediately know that it worked. And then I write the little DM message that they're going to get. And I love this because it's from start to finish. It can be in my voice. So I can pick whatever goofy word or catchphrase I want them to type in, which is sometimes tempting to get a little carried away with. And then I remind myself, please pick words people can spell. Lyric like you, I was an English major. So sometimes I have to
Tone it down.
We don't need to do the full English lit
Save
vocabulary
it for the blog.
here. That part. I go full English major on the blog. So pick a relatively simple and relatively short word that folks can comment. A couple of cutesy little that's so great, Rockstar. I'll see you in your DM. That is going to respond to folks. And then a little note, thanks for commenting. I think this is going to help, and this is why. Here's the link. And really and truly, I can set all that up on my phone, then pop over to Instagram and get my reel ready to go. And the whole thing is seamless. Now, little asterisk that I will put here, if you auto post to Facebook when you post to Instagram, as I do, you may find yourself in a pickle like I have done in the past. And that is that if you want to set up an automation that's going to work on Facebook, you do have to build it separately. So you have to do those separate and not automatically post from Insta to Facebook. Otherwise, you'll get lots of people commenting on Facebook and you will be stuck replying to them yourself, which I don't recommend. So save yourself, build the automation separately, just do 2 separate but identical posts. And then it works like a dream in order to help get that resource into the hands of folks. And it's a little bit easier than trying to send people all the way to your bio or all the way to your stories to find a link.
Right, because it automatically adds a link and delivers it straight into their DMs where they can actually click on it,
They can
unlike
click
in
it, yeah.
captions.
And what's really cool too, and I have not dove into the fullness of this. I use the simplest version, right? It sends a DM and there's a link, but you can actually set up to go ahead and collect their name and email through like a little conversation, so that then instead of them clicking a link to go get a resource, it adds to your email list and sends the resource. So you can even take it one step further than that. It takes a little bit longer to set that up, but that is an option as well. Yeah.
Well, and that's a super valuable way if you're going to give them, like, instead of a link just to a sales page, if you're giving them a link to a freebie, you want something in return.
You can go ahead and rather than them clicking going, oh, now I have to fill out a form, it can be, before I send that, can I have your first name real quick? And they reply, oh, cool, I just need your email to know where to send this. And it takes them through very quickly. It takes some of that form anxiety out. I can't tell you how many places I've put my email address because I was like, oh, if I don't have to fill out a form and I get the freebie, how delightful.
If they do fill it out that way, does it then deliver once they have your email address? Is ManyChat the vehicle where it will then deliver the freebie to their actual email?
So you connect ManyChat to your email service provider. So you use, I think it's a Zap that connects it, and then it'll go just as if they've signed up through your form.
All right. I'm thinking.
The back end web of the internet is magical.
It is. So ManyChat also works on Facebook, but not Instagram and Facebook at the same time.
Right. You're going to want to set those up separate.
Do you create a piece of content and then manually post it to Instagram and then manually post it to Facebook? Or do you have another tool? Let's talk about social media schedulers.
Yeah, to connect them to ManyChat, you would post them separately. Typically, when I post to Instagram, because it's all Meta, I just let Meta go ahead and post it over to Facebook.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sarah, tell us about some of the tools that you make, some of the tech stack that makes this not overwhelming.
Yes. So Pinterest, since it's visual and it's search and discovery, we're going to want to think about uploading a mix of photos and videos to our account. And just like Corey has previously mentioned, we don't need to be afraid of overwhelming people because they're going to find our content on Pinterest by what they search. So if we upload 10 pens a day, they may only see one 6 months or even years from now. It is a search engine. It does live forever, but you do not need to be worried about overwhelm. But I do like to do a mix of video and photos because video drives visibility, which is how we grow our audience on Pinterest. But photos are what convert to sales. So photos are what, like those plain images with text overlay. So when they see a photo, it's very clear what information you're providing, what problem you're solving for them, what service you're offering. So I like to do that. I previously mentioned using ChatGPT to create those text overlays on our images. That's a great resource. If you use Canva or Adobe Express, you can also, there's amazing templates for that as well on there. So those are great, all sorts of great resources where the barrier to entry is really easy because you just need to upload that photo. And with videos on Pinterest, you can actually, they, like all the other apps, they have their own video editor on there. But I like to just take the content that I'm already creating on the other platforms, upload that, and then do a title right there in the Pinterest app, which is for my videos. But something to keep in mind for both photos and videos is we want it to be vertical. Since most of the users are going to be finding your content on Pinterest on their mobile devices, we want to deliver it in the best way. So that means a 2 to 3 aspect ratio, which simply means at least 1,000 pixels wide by 1,500 tall. Then once we upload that video, then we want to think about what are we going to title it? The title can be up to 100 characters, but the first 40 are what matter the most because on mobile, they only let you see a little bit of it. On desktop view, you can see the longer titles, but those first 40 characters, which is really just only a couple words, are what is going to get someone to stop scrolling and want to tap your photo to expand the image larger. So we want to think about those first 40 characters the most for our title.
So you're putting these titles in the Pinterest app, and it's dynamic instead of just a still photo where the titles are part of the photo, so that if you do it through the app on Pinterest, it will look different according to the device they're looking on.
Correct. So, we still want to think about on our still photos having text embedded on the image. And that's where we'll use Canva or Adobe Express or ChatGPT. But under that, it does provide that title.
Oh, so this is like the titles in the caption, not the titles on the image?
Right.
Okay.
Exactly. Pinterest displays every single title under every single pin in your feed. So that's really important real estate there. They do allow you to put a description, but folks are only going to see the description if they tap on the pin. So that's why those titles are so important, because that is that first step. If you're curious, or very overwhelmed, I don't even know what I would title this. I was not an English major. I was a graphic design and art major. So words are not my specialty. So what I like to do is actually use Pinterest to search for what I would think I would search for my product or whatever service I'm offering, and see what comes up. We want to use Pinterest the way our audience is using Pinterest, because the way I'm searching for it is most likely the way that they're going to search for it too. So that is an amazing kind of database right at our resource. So I often will search and see what keywords are popping up and utilize that information for forming my title. The description is where you can put a little bit more information about what that image or video is offering. It can be up to 500 characters, which looks like about 2 sentences. You can include hashtags here, and you can even tag your own brand or other brands here. But like maybe on other platforms, you don't want to put 1,000 hashtags on there. I like to just put maybe 1 or 2 that are really relevant. Maybe for me, it's sewing notions. Maybe it is sew in label or sewing project, really general words, because that will help people discover you, but users aren't necessarily finding new content based on the hashtags there. With video, it allows you to also tag, this is all built into the Pinterest app, it allows you to tag up to 10 different keywords, and customers never see those tags. It's just about search and discovery for the algorithm that allows people to find your content. And it's really broad, and these are predetermined tags. So I usually, if I'm sewing, I just start sewing, and maybe they have 25 words, and I'll just click on the ones that are relevant. And then I'll get more, if it's maybe seasonal, and then I'll find a holiday or whatever it might be. But that's only with video. And I know that seems a little overwhelming. So I'll just kind of touch on a couple things. Is Pinterest on your mobile device, you can just upload and share things directly and create content that way. If you go to Pinterest.com on your computer, it does allow you, without using a third-party app, to schedule content, which is a really amazing resource. If you want to just tackle this once a week and not be pinning every single day, I like to just line that up. There are great third-party platforms as well. I personally like using Tailwind, which is a software that is paid. However, the best resource it has is it has a Chrome plugin. So you can just, maybe you're already on your site and you can grab images. And I also would like to share, building that audience is also about pinning content that's not directly to your website. So one thing we haven't talked about, we're all talking about building our audience, but one thing people like following me on Pinterest is for the fashion I share, the color palettes I other pin that are other people's content, because it's inviting them into my brand and into my style. And it's a good way for them to have that whole experience. So often, even on other platforms, I'll be like, hey, by the way, are you following me on Pinterest? Because this is where I share, you like that outfit I had? Here's all the other things that are relevant to this. Or I have a folder of garments I want to sew or quilts I want to make. So it's a little bit of a fun way to invite your audience to learn a little bit more about you. I also utilize it to pin my friends' brands and pin their contents as well, because it's also all part of the like Pinterest ecosystem and helping develop your following there.
Right. I think we often think too much in a competitive mindset and a mindset of scarcity, that there's not enough customers to go around or enough students to buy our classes, or we're not good enough because 10 other people are doing the same thing, right? But that's entirely backwards. When we promote each other, when we support each other, it builds the entire ecosystem. It lifts everybody up. You mentioned Tailwind, and for somebody who has no clue, let's say we're talking to somebody who's just never done anything really on social media, and they're starting a business and they're like, oh, I don't know how to do this. Tailwind is one of many scheduling apps. Can you describe what it is and how it works?
Sure. Tailwind is, like Lyric just mentioned, a scheduling app. I believe, so I just use it for Pinterest, but I believe it has scheduling features now for a lot of different platforms. But what I like doing is it's visual. So it will show you your content scheduled in an actual calendar. I obviously love calendars, and my brain works that way. So I can actually see little thumbnails of all the pins that I'm pinning and on the day of the week. So I love that as far as kind of, can I see if my content is full this week? Because I can visually see if it's full. It also it does have some AI features where it will help you write those titles and descriptions, and then it's adding new features with that as well. So it has those great resources, but then it also has a browser plugin. So it allows you to pin other people's content or from any website that you're on, and it will automatically pull those images without having to save them to your device or to your computer first. It will allow you to do that and even schedule those pins as well. So like I mentioned before, I like to do a mix of photos and videos, but I also like to do a mix of other people's content that might be relevant and serve my audience.
So with Tailwind, you can create your content, throw it into Tailwind, tell it when and where to post, and it does. It posts to all different kinds of social media platforms. So with one scheduling calendar, it will push all of those out. And all of these, I've used Later. I have also used Tailwind in the past. Right now, you guys, I am like, you're here for me because I have ignored all of my social media for the past couple of years, and am so ready because of this to go on. But they do cost. They are a monthly subscription, and you look at and go, I don't want to add one more subscription to my thing. But think of it this way. You are hiring a virtual assistant who is taking so much time off your plate, who is automating a system and making it efficient for you. Let's go back to Holly Ann for one quick moment. Do you use any kind of social media scheduler?
Not at this time. We have played around with them in the past. I found, and this is, so Corey is going to be the exact opposite of me on this. And I kind of love that we're going to talk about it in this way. I have found for me that if I scheduled things too far advanced, Pinterest is our one exception. We schedule Pinterest months in advance and things are on loops and it's wonderful. I love that magic. But for my day in and day out social media, if I schedule things too far ahead, I feel disconnected from my audience. So I lose track of what's going up. I drop the ball and then pushing things to my stories and continuing the conversation there. And I have found that I tend to lose touch, and my audience can tell. So seasons when I have used schedulers or when I have like made content and then handed it to someone else on my team to push out for me, we actually see our marketing become less effective because there's that sense of disconnect. And some of that is because I have built a very, like, in some ways, intimate brand, right? Of like, I'm kind of right there with the camera all the time. That doesn't mean that everyone has to do it the way that I do it. Like I said, Corey's going to be the exact opposite on like he has stuff scheduled out and it's planned and it works really beautifully. You have to figure out what works for you and what can you schedule, what can you work ahead on. I tend to film ahead rather than post or schedule ahead. So I always have a folder of content that is ready, but I'm actually putting it into Instagram in real time so that I can be present for the conversation.
That's so important to understand, is that all of us are different businesses, different people. We function in different ways. We have different purposes for the information that we put out there. And there is no one, this is the way you should do it.
Correct. Yeah. Got to figure out what works for you and your brand and your voice.
Right. I want to go back real quick before we get to Corey. Sarah, you were talking about search engine optimization with the titles and the tags and finding things that work. We talked in the earlier episode about the AI tool that I created that's a marketing video and photo content idea generator. I call it 10 by 10 because it takes 10 minutes to put out 10 different content plans. They are all SEO optimized. They are all designed so that they solve a problem that the customer's looking for. So I encourage you. Well, again, all of these links we will hunt down all of the links to all the things we mentioned. It's going to take a while, and put them in the show notes and the descriptions so you can find them. Corey, do you use a social media scheduler, or how do you work this time-wise and efficiency-wise?
Oh, do I use a social media scheduler?
Tell us all about it.
I have to, honestly. And I think I want to go back to Holly Ann's comment because I think it's very interesting. She did hit on it, that her brand is built off of kind of that right then and there, that fun energy, that this is my POV basically of what I'm working on. This is what I'm doing today. And for our brand, I do that through stories. Like all of that stuff happens through stories. But on the back end, I have to keep our customers and new people interested in what is the latest fabric trend, or what is the newest sale happening at Linda's, or what is this new batting you just got. So when I'm sitting down with our marketing team, which is all of 2 people, myself and one other person, when I'm sitting down with us and we're like, okay, what are we going to chat about for the next month? We kind of build out this is our what needs to be posted brand. And then, hey, Corey, this day, and this day, you should hop on and do something random live or on your story to keep that engagement process. But we also need to have that constant, this is what's going on at Linda's, because it's kind of 2 different things that mesh together. So I personally love to use a tool called Vista Social. I've gone through 1,000 different social media schedulers because that's just the way I work. And this is the one that has made my life so much easier because it not only pulls in your standard social media, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Pinterest, Snap, all the things, but it goes a little bit further where it's bringing in Facebook reviews, Google store reviews. It's bringing in you can connect it to Zendesk if you use those kind of things. Like it's bringing in all this stuff. So myself or someone on my team can go in and respond to our Google reviews, because I try to respond to every Google review about our business, because I think if someone took the time to write something about the business, I'm going to reply. But logging into Google and then finding the My Business tab and then going into here.
Why is that so hard?
Right?
Sorry. Clearly I haven't yet.
Found the trigger. There it is right there. But like logging it, like going in and finding all that can get so annoying. So like Vista Social brings it all into one place, and like I can respond directly. And it even has a little bit of an AI tool built in that's like, this was their comment. This might be how you might want to respond to it. Like if it's I've had a few bad reviews, but we don't normally get bad reviews, and it's because someone ordered wrong. It's not my fault. I didn't do anything. But it's like using, like, how do you play that properly on social media to respond back? Like, hey, thank you so much for your comment. We're reaching out to you to talk to you about it. But keeping that going. And then from a scheduling perspective, like Sarah says, I love a good calendar. It might not be as beautiful behind me, but I love a good calendar, and I can schedule out all that stuff months in advance, and it can tell me out of the 7 platforms that we post to, on this day, you should post to Pinterest at this time, because that's when the people that normally search for your stuff are on. For Instagram and Facebook, these are the times they're normally on. YouTube, your time is normally better in the evening, so this is when you should post a short or a reel or a long format video, and schedule all of that out in advance, and then go and have fun throughout the month doing what Holly Ann does, scooting around on the floor based on my batting, which is super fun. It made an impact, obviously. We've talked about it 1,000 times today.
Yeah. What I really want to know, did anyone catch how fuzzy my socks were by the end of that video? Because I should have posted a picture, like zoomed in on the bottom of my socks.
Girl, we weren't looking at your socks. Let's be
That's probably a
honest.
good thing.
But using that tool to really like kind of plan out what is the best time use. So I can sit there for probably 2 days in and out. I'm not focused solely on it, but I will sit there and schedule out our whole entire month of stuff. That way, that is done. And if I need to make an adjustment, of course, I can log back in and delete it and reschedule something. But it takes that whole pressure off of, okay, did I post something every single day or did I reach out to people every single day? And then I just get to have fun and post random things on stories or post on TikTok or whatever. Like, and it can feed all of those things into Vista Social, which I really, really like. Um, Another thing that I like, and this is kind of platform specific, so I apologize if people are listening don't use Shopify, but I am a big believer of Shopify. It is my favorite place to be. And I use an app called Live Me Up Shopping. And what it does is it's a tool that embeds into your Shopify website and it pulls your catalog and catalog pricing in real time. And you can have that true, like it has almost zero latency, which for those that might not know, that's like when you're like having lag or drag on a video. It has very little of that. So when you're talking and people are commenting back and forth with you live, it is almost real time. So I can show products up in that I'm talking about or showcasing or what's on sale. And Sean, who's the guy that sits behind the camera that helps me, he can click, this is the product that Corey's showing, and it'll pop up at the bottom of their video where they can then add it to their cart, but it doesn't take them away from the video. Just adds it to the cart, and that cart stays even after the live is done. That way they can go and add more things to it. So when I'm taking someone through a full new fabric collection, like I just did last night before I drove down here, I can take them through 22 different SKUs and they can easily click add to cart because they like that, or add to cart because they like that. And they are right there lifetime feeling with you. But something that a lot of people don't know about Live Me Up is there's also a free embed within Live Me Up that you can easily add. It's like a minute plugin that they have that when someone logs onto your website for the first time and you're doing a live shopping event, it pops up right there at the bottom little corner and they can click on it if they want, and they're automatically into your live shopping universe with you. And
How so? What does that mean?
so it's it pops up a little tiny square at the bottom left of the website, either on mobile or on desktop. And when they click on that, it brings them into the live video with you that you're showing and kind of brings them into the conversation. And it says, join the conversation if you would like. It notifies people when you're going to go live. Like, it's just, I just like that from a shopping
It's like a
perspective.
subscription to your live shopping channel.
Kind of, yeah, but they don't have to pay for it. And it keeps them directly on the website. A lot of things when we started doing live shopping, I used video tools that were in rented space in YouTube and in Facebook and in Instagram. And they were phenomenal for what I needed. But I always found an issue with conversion rate because if they didn't make it over to the website because they got distracted by Holly Ann scooting around on the floor, then that was that. And that helps Holly Ann, and I love that. But like there's like I want to get them to the site. So being able to stream directly on the website, connect directly into my Shopify catalog and have them shop right then and there, our conversion rate has increased significantly by using just a simple tool. Now, again, all of these things that we're talking about, majority of these things we're talking about are paid subscription services. But like Lyric mentioned, I've taken the job of like 10 different people I would have to hire and putting it into 2, and it makes it so much easier. So that's how I have to think about these costs per month things that I'm adding in. And one other thing that somebody mentioned, Lyric did, was collaboration. Like how do I say this nicely about the crafting world? It is very like if you the way you said it, Lyric, was perfect. Like everyone thinks there's not enough people out there, not enough customers out there. I can tell everyone listening right now that there are plenty of customers out there.
It's not pie.
It's
It's not
you're
pie.
going to be, it's good. And when you bring other collaborators into your little ecosystem per se, that then builds more credibility for your brand. Like, oh, Holly Ann Knight and Sarah Rivero I'm going to get it wrong.
Kanjin.
Kanjin. Yeah. There we go. When those two love Corey, Lyric loves Corey. Oh my gosh, I love the three of them. They love him. He must be a very legitimate brand. Like when you start helping each other out, you have I have opened up my eyes. This whole year has been really focused on collaborations. And it has changed our business significantly because we've been working with others to bring everybody up, and it has increased. I am so thankful. Everything is so great because of it. But then rolling back to where we started with all of those social tools, using those collaborations, scheduling all that stuff out, so then you can just have fun and be authentic and meet your customer where they are is a really crazy, an amazing thing. And I know I squirreled into so many different directions, but that's who I am, and I'm not apologizing for it. So.
It's great. It's all good. There was so much information in there. We talked about an abundance mindset of if you're a shop, think of shop hops and how successful they are at getting people to go to all of the different places, and they buy something at every single one of them. You're not losing customers by sending them over to I call them niche neighbors instead of competition. You are expanding it for everybody. If you're an educator and you have courses and somebody else is teaching the exact same thing you are, right? You both do the thing. You might not do it exactly the same way, and you might only have 1 or 2 or 3 classes in that. And a lot of students just like to take a lot of classes, right? So when they're done with yours, you send them over to your neighbor and they send theirs to you, and you both gain from it. It's a global audience that we have because of this amazing equalizer of online. There truly is enough to go around for everybody, and you gain so much by working with other people. You learn from how we all do things that, I have so many ideas now that I need to go, I have a long list that I've been writing of things. Oh, go look at this. Go look at this other thing. I'm going to do this thing next. But it's open. It's wide open for all of us. And the thing about creatives, the thing about all of us, we are in an industry, in a field where we take chaos and make order. We take kind of things that are there and we create something beautiful and amazing that wasn't there before with it. And that adds beauty into the world. That adds goodness into the world. It's easy to be boring. It's easy to make ugly, right? But the things that we do, even if making a quilt, knitting a sweater or a hat or a baby sock, all of these things they make the world beautiful enough to live in, right? It's important what we do. Of course, we're running businesses, and of course we want to support ourselves, and of course we want to help our people. But deep underlying all of that is beauty and joy and goodness. And it's so important. That ties into the collaboration. Okay. I went off on a squirrel there. Let's get back into some of the nitty gritty. Did I already talk about? I did already talk about the ChatGPT. We talked a little bit about the different scheduling tools that we use. What other mechanisms or processes do you use that make this posting on? Oh, I know what I wanted to ask. You're each talking about one platform. Tell us all the platforms you're actually on. Do you only do that one platform, Holly Ann?
Of course not. No, we're on Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, a blog, YouTube. I'm sure I've missed one. Threads. TikTok is the one that I am struggling with. So, if someone needs a permission slip to have one that they just don't jive with, sometimes there is one that you just don't jive with.
Totally
but yes,
fine.
We're on lots of places and stuff gets pushed around, recycled, re-uploaded, all the things.
Very good. Sarah?
Like Holly Ann, all the things except Threads. Um, since our brand is so visual, I focus on all the more visual platforms, and that's how we connect to our customers. We are dabbling in TikTok and in TikTok shopping, integrating again, just like we talked about Shopify before. There's a TikTok app to upload your catalog to TikTok, just like all the other platforms. So it makes the barrier to entry as easy as possible. But I am, like we mentioned before, using the same content on all these platforms. I'm not creating new content. I might just be condensing it to a 5-second video if it was a 1-minute video, or taking a still from this video or a photo when I'm making the video. I'll maybe snap a photo on my phone, but it is the same content just to reach our customers wherever they may be spending their time.
Good. Corey.
And just going to echo everybody else. It's definitely the same for us. I pulled up our Vista social profile so I could tell you exactly what we've got. We're on Facebook, Instagram, X, YouTube. We are on TikTok, but like Holly Ann and Sarah said, it depends. It depends on the day, and it's not something I'm there every single day on. But if it's like one of those trending sounds, that thing that's always popping up, I'm going to try and figure out a way to bring it into quilting, because it just brings people that might not know about quilting period to us, and then they kind of see the page, and they might not do anything with that, but at least they have Linda's in their brain some way or another. We're on Google Business, which if you have not activated your Google Business profile and you have an actual business, please log in and claim your business before somebody else does, because that's a whole nother thing that we could go into.
That's its own episode.
Oh, it's girl, yes. But using this thing, and then you have our blog and our website and different things like that. But that's kind of where we're kind of all over the place. But like Sarah and Holly Ann mentioned, I'm not creating new stuff for every single one of these profiles. I am using things and tailoring them differently, because this is one thing I don't think we talked about, because we've been so focused on our own particular platform that we all specialize in. Each of these platforms take different size images, or they respond better to different keywords or different titles. So what I do, and I this is one of the things I love AI for, is if it's something that I'm going to post, I will put, I'm going to talk about freehand quilting with this thread, this batting, and this fabric. Can you help me create text and description for all of the social platforms that I use? And I put that into ChatGPT, and it uses better keywords for each of those, and I'm just copying and pasting them into my scheduling tool. You don't have to do that by any means, but that's just one of those things that I like to have available to meet people better where they are on all of those different platforms.
Right. With the custom GPT tool, the marketing content creator, you can do more than what you put into it. After it creates the content for you, you can say, adjust this specific one for each of these specific platforms and give me titles and aspect ratios that will work best for each of those.
Yeah. So that, I think I might have known that, but I probably forgot about it. But I did. It's an incredible tool, guys. For those that are listening, you need to hop on Lyrics. I'm sure she'll have a link in all the links that we're talking about, and give it a shot and try that out. One other thing that I forgot to mention, and I know this might sound a little weird, but we talked about this at H&H on the stage, and it got some good questions, so I think we should talk about it here.
Go for it.
Is in some of these social media schedulers, like for Vista Social, for instance, there is a listening thing. And so what that means is I can log into my Vista Social and I can click add listener. And what that's going to do is I can go and find the different people in our industry. And this is from a business perspective, not from a creative perspective. I can go and find the different people in our industry that are not really our competitors, but where I know our customers are going to.
Our niche neighbors.
Yeah, our niche neighbors. And I can add those social media profiles into the listener. And what Vista will do is it will say, okay, these different posts that they're doing are getting a lot of good traffic. And I'm not going to copy exactly what they're doing, but it might give me an idea that, oh my gosh, I didn't think about, talking, because I do it every single day. So why do I think someone cares I didn't think about showing this way I use
You
my
didn't think
iron.
about crawling on the floor, Corey.
I didn't. Now I know. It's
You
happening
need
right
to talk
now.
about basting, clearly.
It's going to be a thing, obviously.
I don't think we talked about it in this episode. Go back to the last. Holly Ann had a viral video. It's a time lapse of her basting a quilt, crawling around on the floor, and it's fantastic.
It's
You have
so
to go
good.
find it.
It's so good. Please link it, Lyric, in the show notes. Holly Ann, send her the link.
This is going to be the reel that never dies.
It's never going to die. It was the best thing ever.
Well, that and the fact that I'm in between two long arm frames, which made the internet very angry.
But using those tools to like find those different things that are trending, and it kind of just it's like using your tool, Lyric. It's opening my eyes to other things that people are doing or other ways things are being seen, and it's helping me go, okay, well that could align with my brand if I switched it up a little bit, and I talked about something different, but it's something that's trending really well. So that listening tool is really, really nice when I'm trying to figure out different things to look at.
We should all be always learning from all the people around us. We have finite and limited vision and brains and ideas, and joining the hive, coming out and looking outside of what we're specifically doing with curiosity and with openness will teach us so much. We might, and never compare yourself. Never get into, oh my gosh, they're doing so well and they had viral videos and, that's not how it is. You put yourself around people who are doing amazing things and you lift up to their level. You can't help but move if you're looking and learning from the things around you. Everything we should do in life and our business should be a continual learning process, a continual joyful expansion and growth and rising, right? Let's talk just a little bit about the actual content creation process. So we've talked a lot about the platforms and what happens once it's up there and how to get it up there, but filming or photographing or creating the content, I would love to hear a little bit about what your process is, how you keep it from taking over your life so you don't have time to do anything else in your business, and what efficiencies, what tips do you have? Let's start with Sarah.
So like Holly Ann has mentioned previously, is we make it part of our daily workflow. So if I am making something or cutting fabric or styling a product photo, I have my phone on a MagSafe, like a magnetic tripod above me, just recording that B-roll, what we call B-roll footage, that I can potentially use for many things later. One of my favorite resources that I have is on my desk. I have a canvas lamp, which I would describe as like the Pixar metal white lamp.
Swing arm lamp.
Yeah, swing arm lamp. There you go. But it has a phone mount on it. It works with many different phones. It has a MagSafe, so if you have an iPhone and the MagSafe, it's just a magnet, so you don't even have to pop it in there. And I just have that on there, and I now use that for product photos, for videos, product videos, making, and all the kind of behind the scenes, because it's just permanently on that table. I also similarly keep a tripod with a phone mount on it right next to my sewing machine, and I can use that. So everything is just kind of there ready for me, so I don't have to set up all this stuff. That makes it really doable, because I found in the past when I had to do that and didn't have those resources that are all really affordable, and they even keep getting cheaper and cheaper now. If I didn't do that, I would just stop, or it'd be a whole thing and I would only do it, very infrequently. So these little resources that were very affordable now have paid for themselves tenfold because of that. As far as like the actual what I use, I am still in the design universe, so I am an Adobe girly still, for better or worse. I don't know. But I use Lightroom for shooting photos only because it's what I used on the computer before with my old DSLR. And I love that I can do the white balance and all that stuff, and I can edit one photo and then copy and paste all the editing to the other photos. So I love that. It also syncs with my computer, so it makes that workflow really easy. And then I use Premiere Express to do my videos. So I'll even shoot my product videos and other things directly in that, but still just putting it on my tabletop tripod or putting it on my sewing machine tripod, shooting directly in there. Just so it's already there. And I'll usually have like one long video and then I'll duplicate it and make a short form. And then I'll duplicate that and make all the different things that I need and all the different assets. But I'm using primarily those two apps.
Excellent. And if you're already in the design universe, you come from that training and that background, so it makes perfect sense for you to keep using what you know. I always tell people, if you are already using something, just keep using it until it doesn't work. It takes too much time to go into a whole new learning curve if what you're already using doesn't work for 90% of the stuff, right? Just let's be efficient about this. All right. Corey, what is your content creation efficiency and process?
So it's a lot having to do like kind of what Sarah mentioned. However, I am not an Adobe guy. I know how to use Adobe Acrobat for some PDFs. You can get me a little into Illustrator and Photoshop, but that's about where it stops because that's just not for me. But that's where she came from, that's where it is, and I love that for her. That's not the life I live though. I use a lot of my stuff for video editing is all done. I like Camtasia. And so with Camtasia, I am an Apple guy. And so on my Mac, I can bring up Camtasia. You can use Camtasia on Windows too, but this is just the way I use it. I can bring Camtasia up on my Mac and it will signal to my iPhone that I'm ready to film, and it can use my iPhone as a secondary camera. So I will put my iPhone up on a tripod and it will record directly into Camtasia. And then whenever it's done, I can go in and split it however I want, add whatever captions I want, and then export it out and save it to my Google Drive for different types of purposes. But playing with those very low cost resources. We touched on this at H&H that when everyone got started out, you thought you had to have, a $17,000 camera and you'd have all the lights hanging from the ceiling and you had to have all the video editors. And the barrier to entry for this has gone down. The cost of it has gone down so much because majority of us already have our phones already ready to go. I think almost everybody does. And then majority of us have you don't even have to have a computer to do this now. You can edit so much stuff on your phone even. But if you wanted to edit on your computer, you have that ability. Lighting I'm not in the best lit room right now, but you can have a simple ring light that attaches to the front of your computer or the front of your phone or on a little tripod.
I'm going to stop you right there for 1 second.
Go ahead.
Unless you wear glasses.
Oh, yeah.
If you have a ring light and you wear glasses, it needs to be really high up and angled because it gives you the most horrible demon eyes. There are other options, and they're fantastic for downlighting your table, but, please use something else other than a ring light. If you'll have to take off your glasses.
I guess I'm the minority in this call because I don't wear glasses, so I don't have that problem.
For this, though, Lyric, that helps a little bit. So if you can have, ideally it's, a wall that's painted white or nearly white, but you can even do this by setting up like a piece of cardstock and shine your light at that and angle it towards you. And it will give you a lot of light very inexpensively, but without having to glare off your glasses. So
the foam core trifold, the white foam core trifold science board things that you do your projects on, I use those as a light reflector all the time. Set it up on the other side of the table and you're exactly right.
Yep.
And also another hack for those of us with glasses, which I learned when I was filming for Quilting Arts TV, like a big professional studio where they're not going to move the lights for you, right? is to tip your glasses down just a little bit. And on a front-on view, nobody can tell that they're weird and not hanging on your ears. They're above your temples. But that will keep the reflection from glaring so much straight out at your glasses. And I'm sorry to sidetrack this, Corey, but it's one of my favorite tips. And a lot of us wear glasses.
I saw it on your face. Like the second I said ring light, you went, I thought the second you said it. And that's perfectly fine. There's all sorts of different lighting things, but using these hacks is super incredible for that. And my mom wears glasses. I should probably think about her more often when I use a ring light then, because she's on
well,
camera
if you
with
don't
me
use
too.
glasses,
She's
it
on
doesn't
camera
matter.
with me too, so I don't want her to have demon eyes.
I mean, if it's actually down in your pupils, those little circle lights are actually, I think they're like Galadriel in Lord of the Rings. You get like elf lights in your eyes, but they don't work for glasses.
For sure.
I'm sorry to derail you. Let's get back to where you were.
You're good. No worries. The other thing that I look at when I'm doing any type of video editing or content creation is good sound. So like right now I'm on a really nice podcast mic because that's what I use for all my podcasts. But like when I'm walking around filming, I love, and they just came out. I've had the originals forever. I've had the Rode wireless mics. I've had those forever, but their new Rode wireless micros just came out, and they come in this cute little case. They're just little babies. Okay. And the center portion, you pull that out and it plugs directly into your phone. So whether you have Lightning or USB-C, you plugs directly into your phone. And then these two little mics are so small, like the size of a quarter almost. And they can either clip on or they have magnets on them where you can take the magnet off and like magnetize it wherever you want on your clothing. And the sound quality is incredible. And so I've invested into those, which in the grand scheme of business and content creation, it was like, I'm not giving costs. Go to Amazon to see what the current costs are. But it wasn't that expensive to create really good sound. Because the biggest thing like that I had when I didn't was when I was just recording on my phone and it was away from me. You have the echo in the room. You've got all sorts of other things. So having those little ones that just clip right into the phone, they automatically integrate. You don't have to have another type of software to make them run, is my other tip that I love for when I'm doing content creation.
Right. When in the Academy for Virtual Teaching, we kind of say, if you're in a still space and your camera is within hand's reach and you're talking to your camera, don't even worry about sound equipment. But if you're looking around or if your phone is far away, you need to be mic'd. You need to have that consistent sound quality without that distance and that echo. And it is so easy to solve. And Rode is a highly respected, really, really good audio company. But there's also like $15 plug-in lav mics with like a 12-foot wire that you can just plug into your phone if you don't, if you start out on a budget. Start out with what you can afford and then move up as you can. Holly Ann, let's get over to your content creation and efficiency workflows.
Yeah. So this is just fabulous. So we've talked a lot about scheduling. I will say, if we're talking about budget entry things, always remember that if you are listening to this conversation and you are at that very baby beginning stage of business, or maybe you're just a little nervous about some of these tools, always remember how much work you can get done with a paper calendar and a pencil. And you can do a lot of planning and separate the decision making from the content creation, and that alone will relieve a lot of mental load. And that's where, we've mentioned, as Sarah said, like just turning everything into a content creation opportunity. And that's a huge part of what I do. Even if I'm going to be posting in real time, I know the types of things I'm going to need for weeks in advance. I know what our promos are weeks in advance, and being able to capture those things as I'm doing them. I basically use a tripod on my iPhone. Like, it's really that simple. I mean, even right now, I'm just sitting in front of a window to have decent light, right? So make use of a window or an affordable light, and you can keep this stack of things that you need to get started much, much smaller and more accessible.
If y'all could see all of our heads going up and down and up and down this whole thing. If you're watching the video, you see it.
You see it, right?
We're all bobbleheads here going, yeah, exactly that.
The other thing that I think is a real game changer, especially if you're new to making content, and again, remember that I'm thinking a lot of this through like an Instagram lens, but I do this for a lot of my YouTube videos now as well, actually, is separate the doing of the thing from the teaching of the thing. So when I'm making a video, like when I was making the crawling around on the floor basting video, right? I was on the floor making that time lapse for, I don't know, an hour, because it takes a long time to baste a big quilt. And the thing that was going through my mind the whole time was, if my 9-year-old were standing here right now saying, "Mommy, what are you doing?" How would I explain this process to him, right? Thinking way at a really introductory level of how to do a thing and bringing it down as simply and accessibly as I can. And that became the voiceover that I did later. So I didn't try to explain it while I was crawling around on the floor. I didn't try to navigate, spraying spray based and teaching to a camera. But I can go back later and I can use a voiceover feature on Instagram or in Camtasia or in iMovie and make a really lovely learning moment out of crawling around on the floor. When I'm doing that, some of the things I like to think about are talking through a step by step, right? So another video that we had that did really well recently was 4 at a time flying geese. This is something that a lot of us do really often, but just simply talking through over a time lapse. Here's the quick steps that I'm doing so that folks can make that visual and audio connection. In the case of the basting video, it was, here's 3 quick tips. And those quick tips were essentially a step-by-step if you were watching the video at the same time. But 3 quick tips sounds less overwhelming than, let me show you how to baste a king-size quilt, right? So just like we have talked about, how can we make the scheduling, the planning, the platforms, and the supplies for all of this simpler and more accessible? Think about that when you're making your content for your audience too, of even those little steps. Sometimes the littlest steps are the things that it's the hardest to find a tutorial on, and therefore might be your most valuable piece of content. It's the thing you do on autopilot, but if someone is new, they have no clue how to do it, and they may not even know how to search for it. So there's a little bit about, the stuff that I use, but also the thought process behind when I'm making these time lapses, how I'm going to utilize it later with a voiceover.
That is so good. And it circles right back around to truly serving our audiences and truly providing them with something useful. Way back before I had a business, I made a couple YouTube videos because this is before phones. This is like a 6 megapixel digital camera in the very early days that, it was so expensive. But one of my daughters moved away with a vintage sewing machine of mine that was older than me, and she couldn't remember how to thread the bobbin, right? To put it in, and the only way, I couldn't really talk it through on the phone, so I made a quick video, put it up on YouTube so she could see it. That's the worst video ever, but it solves a very, very specific problem. It's got terrible lighting, but I put up good titles and SEO and a better thumbnail on it, right? That terrible, terrible short video.
How many views does it? So many. Yep.
More than any of my other YouTube videos, because, nobody's made a video apparently of how to thread a Elna TSP that's like from the 60s, right? But it's because it solved the problem. Mm-hmm. It's not about production value. It's not about all of those things. It's about the service that we provide. And they will come to us because we can give them the tools that they need to make their lives better, easier. The one tip that I have for efficiency and economy when you're creating is building a library of video content, which you then can actually usefully use. If you create everything on your phone and then put it into folders, or here's where all your video folders live, my best tip is rename everything immediately. Delete all the junk immediately so it doesn't live on your phone. Delete the ones you're never going to use, but rename all of your files in your video folder. And I keep mine in an external hard drive off of my computer so it doesn't suck up all the space on it. But I took 20 videos of this one thing, and I'll title them all the one thing with, it can be 10 words. Because I can't remember next week what I named it. I need to know, any word that I might use a year from now, but for me next week to search
SEO
for it.
Yourself.
Right? It is. It's search engine. That's so perfect. And then I'll write B-roll or the action clip or photos of flat photos or whatever. It's just copy and paste all the titles. But that one thing which you think is taking extra time saves you. So I can't tell you how much time I've wasted trying to find. I know I did a video of that, and eventually I can't find it and have to make another one.
That part.
All of us are like, yeah,
We've all been there.
Yeah. So make it as easy for yourself with processes, with systems. Film. What I've heard already is have the equipment set up so you can film what you're already doing. Think through whether you're teaching or doing and what you're going to teach your people. Have the words, the titles, the descriptions be the answer to somebody's problems. Putting everything into efficient systems so that you're not reinventing the wheel every time you have to post something. Do things, leverage everything you do in as many different ways and places as possible. One long form video content into a bunch of shorts, into all of the places. Use the AI tools, use whatever it is to make your life faster and more efficient, and then your business grows because you are using these things effectively to make those authentic connections with the people that you love and serve. This has been just so much fun. I wish we could stay for hours more. I wish we could just hang out forever and talk shop and business. We all love how this works. All of you, I'd love you to tell me, where can we find you? Let's start with Corey.
So you can find me, Corey Pearson, on Instagram. It's SEW, so Coco, COCO, Pearson. And then also the company that I represent is Linda's Electric Quilters, and we're on all of the fun social platforms.
All right, go look for Corey there. Sarah.
You can find myself and my brand on all the platforms at Sarah, SARAH, Hearts.
Sarah Hearts. Holly Ann.
Yes, you can find me at String and Story. The and is all spelled out across all social platforms, or at stringandstory.com.
Excellent. And you can find us on the Academy for Virtual Teaching. Listen to Creatives on Camera wherever you listen to or watch podcasts. We would be so appreciative if you left us reviews, if you told your friends. This episode, the last episode and this one, can help all of your businesses so much. We want to see you succeed. We want to see you build this amazing community around the service that you provide to the people that you love. So, let's spread the word. Let's swim in a giant school in this amazing ocean that we swim with, where there's room for all of the fish. There really are. So, my friends, stay creative. Stay beautiful, make the world a better place by doing what you do, and we will see you next time. Thanks for joining us for this two-part conversation with Sarah, Corey, and Holly Ann. I hope their generous honesty and experience gave you a clearer picture of what it looks like to build a creative business with video. Not perfectly, but consistently, and in a way that feels true to who you are. I encourage you to take just one small action, whether that's filming a short clip outlining your next video, or heading over to academyforvirtualteaching.com to try out that 10x10 marketing plan generator. You'll find links to all three guests, their businesses, and the tools we talked about in the show notes, so be sure to check those out. If something resonated with you today, I'd love it if you leave a review and share this podcast with your friends. It's one way we support each other on this creative journey. Until next time, keep showing up. Someone out there is waiting for exactly what you have to share. Keep creating and make the world a beautiful place to live in, my friends. Thank you so much for joining me on Creatives on Camera. I know there are countless podcasts out there, and I'm honored you spent your time here. If you enjoyed this episode and don't want to miss the next one, please subscribe to the podcast. Then, if you'd like to stay connected and get even more tips on teaching, marketing, and video creation, sign up for my email list at academyforvirtualteaching.com. You'll get exclusive insights and updates delivered straight to your inbox to help you grow your creative business with ease. Lastly, be sure to check the show notes below in the episode description for links to everything mentioned today, and I'll see you in the next episode.